They're just letting those burn through. There were two tankers on a large trailer right next to each other. They caught fire. The first one did. It blew straight up in the air. That was one of the explosions you saw. And then the other one right next to it immediately caught on fire. And now they're just burning, out of their own. They're just burning out of control because they can't get water to them. There's another propane tank right behind it that's burning. And then, of course, that little concrete area there, it looked like the actual farm itself where they may have been filling these things. That thing's burning as well, and they're trying to put some water on it. But the main thing they're doing right now, the fire department is keeping everyone back except for a few firefighters, Mike. They're trying to get in there and trying to cool things down so these other tanks don't get hot and just blow.
Okay, Rob, once again, what is the location and where exactly are you in Grove City?
Well, we're just south of, actually, Mike, we ran the Olympic Torch right up this street. This is Broadway. We're just about 5 blocks straight south of the, 5 blocks about straight south of downtown Grove City, where, majority of the people are, living in this area. The good news is off to the west, it's all farm fields, but what they're worried about is to the east and to the south and the southeast is, this is all residential area out here. You got baseball diamonds, you got public pools. They've had to clear everybody out of this area. And in fact, we were warned when we came down by the Columbus police. They saw flames underneath those 10,000 gallon tanks. And I'll tell you, if those catch on fire and blow, you're going to see this. In fact, when we left from OSU Airport, we were probably 15, 20 miles away. You could see the flames shooting 200 feet in the air easily from down here.
Now, Rob, is this affecting your flying, or are you required to fly a little bit higher?
Oh, yeah. Well, everybody's flying a lot higher. In fact, the med flight came in and landed. They came in a big circle around it and landed on the back side. And we're trying to stay downwind of it. But right now, here's a perfect example. Zoom in on the restaurant for 'em. Now, here's the restaurant is just going crazy right now. They must have some kind of an accelerant in there of some kind, Mike. That's just, that restaurant is going to be totally useless. That building is going to be gutted here shortly. I mean, it's burned from the back of that building all the way through, and I'm sure there's either some kind of gas line or something that's running into there, because normally it wouldn't burn those flames that high. And, they're throwing water on it, but it's actually not doing any good. There goes another explosion. That truck just went again. You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that delivery truck. They come in here and they pick these things up and they refill them, and then they take them out, and then what they do is they deliver those things. Well, that truck's just full of them, and we're just watching that thing go.
And Rob, is it possible that those other tanks just to the bottom of that truck are those potentially, could they go as well?
Well, the one tank that's on the right, you can't see it from the angle that we're on right now. Why don't you pan up and show them? That's the tank right there. On the back right, there's a big black burn mark on that tank right there, but there's no flame underneath it that we can see. Pan up and show them the restaurant from this angle, Steve, real quick.
Okay, Rob, we understand from authorities that we need to back off a little bit from this location. So, of course, we want your safety and the safety of our photographer, of course, foremost. So, if you could just back off a little bit.
Yeah, we're doing that as you speak.
Okay.
So we're pulling up a little and we're pulling back just a little. We're all out here circling, just trying to keep an eye on things. But yeah, Mike, it's a pretty bad fire.
Now, Rob, looks like now they have at least 3 separate fires that we can see of.
Yeah, what they've done is they put the biggest water that they have on the south side that can really throw some flame, a pumper on the back that's throwing some water on those flames that are out there. But the main area that's burning right now, Mike, is that double tanker that was there, and of course the restaurant's just going to town. So it's burning pretty good. But I would say really safely at this point that they've got some water on it, and they have some water on the north side of it. But that restaurant they're going to have to put something on that because it's really going.
And Rob, what about fighting a fire such as this? Since it is gas, it seems like water could only do so much.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's very, it's been dry and it's been very, well, there it goes right there. Now you're starting to see it.
Wow.
That restaurant's really starting to go. Yeah, it's very dry. I think it's very dry around here. The winds are relatively calm now. They're blowing from the southwest to the northeast, but it's a very dangerous situation if any of these embers were to get out or to get onto, let's say, grass even in a field or into the trees or anything around here that might be able to catch on. You could have a fire. Now we could, if you pull back from there, Steve, kind of show them where it is in relation to the town and the residential area from the south side. There's where all the houses are and so forth.
So this is basically just a residential park situated near this community.
Well, actually what it is there's a trailer on the south side of Grove City. All of the from that area there, I'm going to come left just a little bit and show you. It's residential on the east side, but look as you come to this undeveloped area here. See, it's farmland there, And straight up from there, there's some new housing development going in right there, and then also there's a trailer park that's located just north. Now they've evacuated everything out of that area because, again, it's a very dangerous situation. You got those propane. Not only that, but here's something. Steve, pan over to the left and show them the railroad tracks. The railroad tracks have some huge tankers sitting on them right out in the back. They're bigger than anything that's down in the yard. See them right there?
Yeah.
Those are the, right there, those are two great big huge railroad tankers, and I don't know if there's propane in them or not, but boy, those are bigger than anything that's in the yard.
Okay, Rob, at this point, again, for our viewers who may have just joined us, we're going to, again, recap the situation. We have, this is previous video, just taken a few minutes ago at this industrial park propane tank explosion where several fires were going, and of course, once they get started, you've got something to fuel it, there's the explosions. We understand there have been numerous evacuations around the area. They've taken people to Grove City High School. So far, there's only been one report of an injury, a minor injury that we understand. And again, this is a video taken earlier of the explosion that started all of this just a few minutes ago. Now we're back with live pictures with Rob Case and Chopper 4.
So that's the situation right now, Mike. They're working on the, right now they're trying to get some water on the restaurant itself, but this one's still going.
Okay, we have crews en route. In fact, they are at the location, but because of the potentially dangerous situation there, we will certainly approach it in a very safe way. They will have more as they're able to get closer to it. Okay, Rob, we appreciate those pictures.
They're talking to us on other radios, Mike, but that's about all we can tell you right now. I mean, it's just burning pretty much out of control in the restaurant, and it's going up, and they're trying to get water all around it, on the restaurant and all around the propane farm itself down here at Farrell's, just south of Grove City. We'll give you another update as the information becomes available.
Alrighty, thanks, Rob. We appreciate it.
Okay, you bet.
And of course, we will stay on this story. We'll have more as the events warrant right here on News 4. We now join our regular programming in progress.
This has been a News 4 special report. We now rejoin Channel 4 programming already in progress.
Good day, everyone. Mike Jackson from the News 4 newsroom with the very latest on that explosion, propane explosion just south of Columbus. These are pictures from earlier today where a fire was reported. In fact, several fires reported at the Suburban Propane Company that is in Grove City. There is another propane company right next to it, an industrial park that's called Farrell Gas Company. Now, these are the type of companies that will service your propane tanks, whether it's for heating or for barbecue. As you can see, it's a very volatile situation there with all of the tanks exploding. People all over that area have reported hearing explosions this afternoon. In fact, that area has been evacuated. They've been taken to Grove City High School. In terms of injuries, we understand that 3, possibly 4 people have been transported to OSU with possible burns. We are checking on that. We have several crews on the ground who are trying to get as close as possible to get the very latest information. Also, there's a restaurant nearby that is completely engulfed. In fact, it was a victim of the explosion. Sue Ellen's restaurant was engulfed in flames. Again, no reports of injuries there, but we do have reports of at least 4 people being transported to OSU Medical Center with possible burns. And if anyone has relatives in that area and you're wondering about where they are, if there were some kids at home, there was a nearby public pool and park that had to be evacuated there. They've been taken to Grove City High School. Again, we're showing you pictures taken just a few minutes ago of this propane tank explosion. In fact, several explosions at this industrial park. The Suburban Propane Gas Company and also the Farrell Gas Company. They share almost loading docks there, right there in Grove City. This is just south of Columbus. This happened just about an hour ago. There's been no explanation on what caused this or what started the series of explosions, but as you can see, it was almost like a chain reaction. Of course, we'll stay on this story. We have crews there, and we'll continue to follow it and bring you the very latest information when it's available.
This has been a News 4 special report. We now rejoin Channel 4 programming already in progress. News 4's special report.
I'm Cabot Ray in the NBC4 newsroom. We are just a little bit over an hour now since the first explosions were heard outside the Farrell Gas Propane Company. It's just about a half a mile south of Grove City. You're looking at pictures now from our mast cam, there had been a series of explosions, scores of explosions reported in that area. We've had unconfirmed reports of at least 1 injury, perhaps as many as 4 injuries. We're going to take you now up into the air above the scene. Rob Case is there live, and Rob, does it look like they're getting it under control at all at this point?
Kevin, I would have to say that it looks like they are. We're way far back here with a special lens just to give you these pictures, but what you're seeing is smoke. Anytime you see white smoke, that's usually because they are able to knock down the black smoke, which means something's burning, like the roof. What you're seeing right there, that white area, is actually the restaurant that caught on fire when the first explosion came out of the propane farm right next door. We can still see some flames in the back parking lot area just to the north of that restaurant, but all that white smoke that you're seeing right there is the firemen putting water and trying to at least contain that wooden structure, which is a restaurant right next door to the Faro propane gas farm. But we're still seeing some flames in the back. They're throwing water on it from the south side and the north side now, the fire department is. So right now, Cab, it looks like they're trying to just keep the other tanks around that area cool.
Right.
And there's a building there that was leveled that you probably saw just a moment ago. And as we looked vertically down on it earlier, it was that's where they load those tanks. But I don't know, it's a little difficult because we're so far away. But just to the right of that smoke, Steve, you can zoom in there. You'll be able to see that there's still that area burning.
Hey, Rob, we understand that there are a couple of tanks, particularly large tanks in that area, that everyone was very concerned about. You can see here those 2 tanks are within, looks like about 30 to 40 feet of some serious flame there. These are from pictures taken earlier today when a truck there, you could see multiple explosions happening as each one of those tanks went up individually. Again, those large tanks that you can see just in the corner of your picture there, it appears at this point now that they've got those pretty much safe at this point.
Yeah, right there, that explosion is a delivery truck that had the real small little propane tanks like you might have on a gas grill,
Right.
those kind of things.
Right.
And then to the west of those are those great big large bluish colored tankers, and they're actually, we're looking through smoke and we're pretty far back, but we can actually see from here that they're throwing water right on those tanks in that area, keeping them cool. There are no large flames. That explosion delivery truck that you saw, it's just burned out. I mean,
It's completely out now.
Yeah, everything that was in that truck is burned up, and they're now they have a huge pumper that's just to the north that's throwing water probably 60, 70 feet in the air, and then the wind's just carrying it like a large rain shower right on top of those 2 bluish colored tanks.
Well, again, these are pictures, if you're watching at home, from earlier. Apparently, Rob is saying that that truck there has been pretty well extinguished, which is a very good thing, because they were saying that if one of those large tanks went up, it could really do some damage in an area as far away as perhaps a quarter to a half a mile. So that has been their primary concern. Now, we understand that Bob Singleton has arrived. He is on the ground. Bob, can you hear me? What can you see from where you are?
Cabot, I can see that truck burning that you've been talking about. I can see a lot of smoke, and I can see that State Route 62 is blocked off here about 1/8 of a mile south of the fire. Here comes another fire truck coming in from the south. I can tell you, we heard some police chatter on the helicopter coming in. They were very concerned with this larger fuel tank. Apparently, it's about 30,000 pounds of propane. That's the one that they're worried about. It's 40 feet long. It looks like a silo on its side.
Right.
We're going to have to get out of there's an ambulance coming up from behind us. Hang on a second. We got the police line down on the ground. We have heard there may be 2 people injured, but we do not have a confirmation of that.
Bob, we had heard reports of a man that was partially on fire right after some of the first explosions. Again, eyewitnesses said they saw a man perhaps running out of the area with some flame. Now, again, that's unconfirmed at this point.
Well, we talked to a gentleman who's working right across the street from the fire. He said that he could see these tanks flying through the air. He saw a flaming fuel tank land on Sue Ellen's restaurant.
Right.
Apparently set it on fire, and Larry's Trucking right next door. So those buildings were burning. We don't know how seriously damaged they are. But I tell you, Cabot, it's very difficult to move around down here. They are not letting us get very close to this fire. They are concerned about that large tank, and
again, yes, Bob.
So should the people be. Anybody who's not yet been evacuated from their home. Did you talk about that yet, how they evacuated
Yes,
homes?
they've evacuated the entire area, and we understand that Grove City High School has been set up as an emergency shelter there. That is the place to go if you are concerned. You need to make contact with somebody, a loved one that perhaps is in that general vicinity. Again, this is south of the city. We are not sure the exact circumference of the area evacuated, but safe to say with concerns of a tank going up creating a half-mile damage, you can imagine that it is probably at least twice that area around this propane company.
Yeah, we were a good mile on the north side of this explosion. We are considerably closer to it here on the south side, but if you live within a mile of that plant, you should be thinking real hard right now about going somewhere else.
Yeah, we understand they've evacuated a park and a nearby swimming pool complex, which isn't too far away there. And I just got another note handed to me in this, the Grove City Kids Association, all softball games are canceled tonight. Apparently the park is not that far away, and just to be on the safe side, they've already canceled all the games, all the activities there in that park complex and the pool complex nearby there, Bob.
Anyone who would normally be passing through Grove City during rush hour should make plans right now to go somewhere else. They're not going to get up and down State Route 62, and they are going to have a devil of a time just trying to get down Broadway from Grove City.
Yeah, in fact, Broadway, we understand, was kind of the area where they, kind of their central command spot, if you will, and we understand trucks from Columbus have now been on the scene, joining in with some of the local fire departments there. Is that right?
I cannot tell you that for sure, but I would... I'm sure that there are trucks from all over the place. I know Franklin County, Grove City, CPD, just on the police side. And on the fire side, if it moves, it's probably here right now.
I would imagine that they are going to be extra cautious given the volatility of what you're dealing with there, that once they get it doused, they'll continue to douse it probably for hours tonight, Bob.
Yes, and here go electric crews coming in. I'm sure they're trying to shut down all the utilities, all the electric, all the gas. I have not seen any ambulances occupied. I hope that if there is anyone that's been hurt, I hope it's not serious.
All right.
I think we've been lucky. It's that there have not been.
Yeah, it seems like we've been extremely fortunate to this point, Bob, because of what could have happened there. And there were a lot of workers at the time. Again, this occurred right around 2:30, Bob. We're going to send it upstairs real quick to Rob Case back up in Chopper 4, because Rob, you get maybe a better perspective from there again as to the kind of progress they're making on this fire there. Rob, what can you tell us now?
They told us it's a mile and a half, Cabot, a mile and a half in circumference around here. And we'll show you why they had to evacuate the park. Steve, you want to come up to the right? See the smoke? There's the ball diamonds you were talking about right there. And right next to the ball diamonds is a public pool just to the north of it where that big water tank is. Come on back and we'll show you where those blue tanks are that they were concerned about. They're just throwing thousands of gallons of water on those blue tanks to keep them cooled down. Those are the tanks right there, and you can see the water that's just from the north side being on those tanks to keep them from going anywhere. Again, it's in much better situation than there was even half an hour ago. They got water coming on from the north, south, and on the east. But Bob asked about that restaurant. Sue Ellen's restaurant is, I'm going to say, is a total loss. I mean, the whole back end of it, the inside of it's just totally gutted. You'll be able to see it a little later when they actually get it all the way knocked down. An aerial shot will show you that that's just totally gutted. But
you said that was started by perhaps a tank that flew through the air and landed on the roof.
Yeah, I would say that's a good guess, because when we got down here, the only place that you saw flames were either right where the propane itself was or on that restaurant, and it was the roof of the restaurant that was burning. So it wasn't a fire that started inside the restaurant and worked its way out. It was actually the roof of the building itself, but possibly one of the tanks itself when they exploded. They are so close to where the actual center of the explosion is.
Yes.
The center of the explosion, Cab, is just to the right of those blue tanks, but it's totally leveled. I mean, you can't see anything there anymore.
Right. Well, we're looking again at video from earlier of that exact area you're talking about, and it is frighteningly close to those large tanks, and you see each one of those explosions go off, and it's a very sobering image because those are, you say, just the size perhaps of what you might find in a gas grill.
Right, or maybe a little larger, but that truck was full of them, and so we just watched, and that's what you're seeing in the video. That delivery truck just had one explosion after another and another, and that's why the firemen stayed back. I want to tell you, those blue tanks, when we first got down here, Columbus police were circling and told us that the one very large blue tank, I guess has 30,000 gallons in it, had a black scorch mark. There was actually a fire that was burning right near it. So they were afraid that was going to go, and we all stayed back. But it ended up either blew out or went out because it just has a big black mark on it, but it never really ignited.
Well, those firefighters, again, they got there in time, it looks like, and it took a lot of courage to put that flame out if there was, in fact, one right there underneath that large tank.
Right.
Okay, we're going to go one more time here. Now, this is a shot from Mastcam, and you can see there are still some flames in the area. This is a long and arduous battle to try to get the propane-type flame out. It is not something that you douse quickly. You can see they've made progress from what we have seen earlier, but again, as long as the flame is continuing to go like we see there in the center of your picture, there is extreme danger in that area. And so the area 1.5 miles in circumference around this plant, this feral propane gas plant, has been evacuated. Grove City High School is the place to go if you need to make contact with a loved one, a friend, because that is where they're being asked to go. That's where they're being taken. Emergency shelter set up there. It's unclear how long that area will be clear, how long that area will be evacuated, because again, you see the flames just continue to burn there, and this is literally, it's a large company with lots and lots of tanks of propane gas of all different sizes, and each one of those a veritable bomb if a spark ignites. So they're continuing to douse. You can see there are more and more hoses now being aimed directly at those flames, more and more fire departments taking part in this particular battle, because this is an extremely dangerous situation here. Again, as Bob mentioned, be careful in traffic, stay completely out of that area. Again, this is right down Broadway, just south of Grove City, so all of the roads in that area, I would think, particularly within that 1.5 mile radius, are going to be blocked off, and who knows how long they will be there. We will stay on top of this. We're going to stay with these pictures and keep you up to date to the latest. Again, we've had unconfirmed reports of as many as 4 injuries involved here. 4 injuries. We will try to get confirmation on that. We did have a report of med flight that did make a pickup, but we don't know any more than that at this point. We're going to go back down real quickly to Bob on the ground. Bob, anything new?
Yes, Cabot, I've just been talking to Tootie Bowman. She's with Larry's Trucking, one of the businesses directly next door to where the fire broke out. She says her building is gone, and I believe that would include Sue Ellen's restaurant right next door to her.
Right.
This is going to hurt them. All their records were in that building, the trucking company, but everybody got out, so as best they know, none of their people have been hurt in any way.
Now we're seeing an emergency vehicle even as we speak showing up there, pulling into the area again. We have no idea what that means at this point, this long, this far removed. But I would imagine the heat is probably pretty intense because it's hot there anyway today. And with these propane tanks on fire, Bob, it's got to be getting very hot on those firefighters.
Well, no doubt about that. I was talking to a worker right across the street from the fire before he left. Each time one of those barrels would blow up, he said it was just, it was a physical thing, the heat. He could just feel it, the slap in the face, it just moving him back. So, yeah, if you're right up there working on it, they're going to need a lot of water. They're going to need a lot of firefighters to rotate people in and out of this fire. That's probably one reason for so many crews responding. They're going to need a lot of rotation on a day like this inside those firefighting suits.
Yeah, I would imagine there are a lot of self-contained tanker trucks, pumper trucks, I would imagine there, Bob, because the city's water supply has got to be being tested extremely hard on the south side there if they're hooking into fire hydrants. They have self-contained pumpers there that you're seeing?
I cannot tell you that, but I can see them putting water on the fire right now. So far, they seem to be doing all right on that end.
Yeah, we're counting about half a dozen streams here between the fire departments, all working together here. This is one of those situations now. As you're seeing these shots now, we're looking now live, I believe, from Chopper 4 again. It looks like they're concentrating the flow to the middle. There is one stream directly on those large tanks that everyone was concerned about, and they are also directing some streams right to the middle. We see a little bit of flame in the middle of our picture here still. Those flames, however, look to be a bit removed from those large tanks, but they are spraying those tanks down. They are literally covering those tanks with water. Now we are getting a report of 2 victims taken to OSU. Of course, the burn unit there, one of the best in the land, and that is where 2 of the victims have been taken. One more has just arrived. So now by med flight. So now that's up to 3. We understand. We now know of 3 confirmed victims. We don't know the extent of their injuries. Certainly burns are probably involved with at least 1 or 2 of them. We know nothing more than that at this point, other than at 2:30, about 2:30 this afternoon, the first explosion went. They sounded the alarms in the area. Everyone cleared out as quickly as possible. But again, we know of at least 3 injuries now, 3 confirmed confirmed injuries with this blast. Just south of Grove City, this is at the Farrell Propane Gas Company, and you can see now the one structure, which was contained a restaurant there to the right on your picture, now more in the center, that apparently, yeah, it looks totally gutted and destroyed by this fire. Again, the fire spreading from the nearby propane gas company. Rob, you're in the air there. What can you tell us? Anything new at all?
Yeah, we can show you, Cab, what's still burning down there. With those flames, you see those real hot flames shooting out. Those are usually just right out of a cut in a propane tank. If Steve, you can see that one flame right there. That's the area there where the explosion initially occurred, and what you're looking at is a trailer that had two big tankers on it, still burning some propane out the back end of it. They're not really throwing any water on that right now. They're just letting that one kind of burn out. Where they're concentrating all the water is on those two great big blue ones that we were concerned about, and also the backside of the entire area, that whole concrete area where that building was and where the explosion occurred is just totally soaked with water right now, and they're hoping to keep it down. But again, the big problem you've got is, and Steve comes back from there, that area right there, if you stop, that's just full of propane tanks. And not only that, but there's two great big ones right on the railroad track, tanker truck, those right there, those are actually railroad tankers. We don't know if they're full of propane or not, but that's right in behind them, much larger than even the blue ones. So they're fighting it from every angle that they can, with the restrictions, obviously, of that it's a propane gas farm and there's still flames down there, but they're getting it under control. Looks like they've got the restaurant building and right next door to it, pretty much contained just some light white smoke coming out of there now.
Yeah, Rob, we saw an emergency vehicle pull up just a few moments ago, and I just saw it in the picture there. Do you see any activity there? Does it look like there may be more injured?
Well, they've got on standby. They had MedFlight on standby, and they took someone out earlier when we first got here. They have ambulance standing by on both ends of this thing, on the north side and the south side of Broadway. You've got a lot of things to take into consideration. It doesn't have to necessarily be a burn. It could also be a fireman with heat exhaustion. I mean, it's really warm out here right now in the helicopter. It's about 93, and we're all out here in the sun. So you can imagine what it would be like with a very heavy fire equipment on that they could get it. So there's a lot of reasons they're on standby for this thing because, again, nobody really knows what exactly is going to happen out here.
Yeah, this isn't the type of fire that you fight every day. This isn't like your run-of-the-mill wood house type fire. This is a fire that can explode and go up again at any moment. And we're looking again, now that is actually Route 3 that we're looking at the top of the picture there from the air. Yes. That is the way that the Olympic torch came into town, is it not?
Yeah, that's where we followed the Olympic torch. You picked the torch up just about 4 blocks north of here, right? Just north of downtown.
Yeah, that is correct. That is a strange irony that a day we celebrated the Olympic torch coming through town, here, just a couple of weeks later, another fire of a whole different manner has thrown a whole different feeling on this situation here.
Right, and
okay,
they got it cleared out. You bet.
We're going to go down now to Bob. Thanks, Rob. We're going to go down to Bob Singleton on the ground. Bob, you got an update for us there?
Yeah, I want to give you an exact location on where we are, Cabot. We're at Castle Boulevard and Broadway. We are just about 100 feet from the sign that says Grove City Corporation Limits. This is the southern edge of Grove City on State Route 3, Route 62. This is where the torch came through. And this smoke, this fire is not out. It keeps changing colors. It's all white for a while, then it starts getting black again, and I'm no expert, but I believe the lighter the color of the smoke, the better off you are.
Right.
We keep seeing the touches of dark smoke in this, what's left of this propane gas yard behind us.
Now we're seeing aerial shots of a structure that is absolutely gone. It's just disappeared. You can see the skeletal remains around the outside, but that structure is gone here. And there are still, we see 2 flames now right in the middle of the area. Again, quite a distance now, relatively speaking, from those extremely large tanks. Those tanks, one you said with 30,000 pounds of propane.
That's good news. The further away from that they can keep the fire, the better off we'll all be.
Okay, Bob. Well, people there seem relative. I see there's some folks around where you are. They're obviously allowed to be there, and they seem rather calm about the situation.
Well, yeah, but I don't know that we are seeing anybody here who lives right next door. These are people are here because they're curious about what's going on in their city, but I don't think they're next door neighbors of this disaster.
Right.
The next door neighbors, I don't know where they are, but they hopefully they aren't at home right now.
Yeah, they're probably at Grove City. Grove City High School, again, is the area that is being set up as an emergency shelter in this situation. We're going to go to a map right now, Bob, and to show people watching at home, just exactly where we are here. Now you see that this explosion at the Farrell Propane Gas Company is right on Broadway. It's old Route 3. It's just south of Grove City, literally within about a half a mile of the heart of downtown Grove City there, the old city. Again, about a half mile out of town and close enough to a lot of homes and residential areas of parks and swimming pools that it is a real concern. This is literally right on the doorstep of a large area where folks are living, and that's why right away that area was cleared. So again, that is an area also to avoid if you are driving. Stay clear of that area south of Grove City, within a mile and a half, 2 miles of Grove City. Try to stay clear because they're going to be moving fire trucks in and out of there as well as other emergency vehicles as needed today. So please stay clear of that area. Okay, and the latest, again, report we have is that we have at least 3 people hurt. We know of 2 victims that were taken to OSU. We know that another one was med-flighted. That is a 3rd person. We don't know the extent of the injuries. Probably significant in the case of the one that was med-flighted. We can probably tell you that. We had unofficial reports, eyewitness reports, saying that they saw one person, a man who was partially on fire right after the initial explosions. We know nothing else than that right now, but we'll stay on top of that situation. So we know, again, 3 people hurt at this point. And of course, the firefighters there are battling extreme heat. As Bob mentioned, each time one of those tanks goes up, it's like a blast of heat on top of a very hot day in that heavy gear. Okay, I'm getting this handed to me right now. 3 injured, being evaluated at Ohio State University. Says the people there say they have burns and smoke inhalation. Again, 3 injured at Ohio State University Medical Center. Now let's go to Dina Senavani, who is also in the area. Dina, what can you tell us?
Cabot, I'm at Grove City High School. This has been set up as a place for all of those being evacuated to come to. They're even prepared to have these folks stay here overnight if need be. This is about a mile and a half from the explosion site. As you can see, this is a system. People are signing in on this sign-in sheet. That's because a lot of parents are coming here. They're looking for their children, and they can simply read that list and see if their kids are here yet. Right now we have about 24 people. They're all watching a TV that they have on here in the auditorium, paying close attention to what's happening at the fire scene. Now Kim Conley was staying with her sister who lives right next to the gas company. You tell me, what happened? What'd you hear?
Well, first all we heard was a loud boom, and we thought maybe someone hit the back of the house because it was right by the alley. And we ran out the door to go around the house, and somebody came down the street and yelled, "It blew up, it blew up, it blew up," and we thought, oh my God. And I took the phone with me, and I ran up to the street, and all you could see was fire coming out of this building, and it just kept exploding, and exploded, wouldn't stop.
Did you smell anything or feel any heat?
Oh, you could feel the heat. You could feel the heat, but because we wasn't maybe a tenth of a mile, if that, from the building, it was unbelievable.
Did you see people running out of their homes, or what was that like?
Everyone was running everywhere. People was wanting to run to it to help, and then people was running away from it to get away from it, because when it started exploding, people were running away from it, and then as soon as the explosion would stop, they'd run back to it to try to save somebody. And there was no way getting close to it, no way at all.
Okay, well, a very tense situation. Yes, Cabot.
Are you getting any idea from the folks there? Are they getting any idea how long they may in fact be here?
Nobody has any idea. That's the big question. And of course, it all depends on when they can get this fire under control, and that remains to be seen. You're dealing with such a volatile chemical, such a flammable chemical, that it's very hard to predict.
Are they getting set up perhaps to spend the night there?
Well, I asked them, I said, do you have blankets and pillows? Yeah, they said yes, and we have the food service people are here, so they are prepared. They're prepared. The school, about 2,000 students go to school here, so they say that they will be able to handle hopefully anybody that needs to come here for refuge. They're going to put the kids in the gymnasium and some of the adults out here in the cafeteria area, and if need be, they'll move some tables and chairs and open up some more rooms if they need to, Cabot. Again, just about 24 people are here so far. They're trickling in. Some people are even bringing their pets here because, you can't leave your dogs outside in the heat, and so they're bringing their family pets and just clearing out the whole house and coming here.
Right. Okay, Dina, thank you very much. We'll possibly check back in with you a little bit later.
Okay.
Just send it on over to Bob Singleton. And Bob, we understand and you are with a person who really felt some of the heat in a lot of ways and an unfortunate victim of this situation today.
Gabby, we're talking to Mr. Larry Beavers. He is a property owner of property immediately adjacent to the explosion. He owns the property on which sits Larry's Trucking and Sue Ellen's restaurant. You said that you'd filed complaints about this company in the past. What was the problem?
Well, they have fumes, they have burn-offs, and we've called the fire department, called the city people, and nothing ever does. And I said, one of these days, this thing's going to blow up.
What do you mean, burn-offs?
Well, I don't know nothing about propane gas, but they have, I guess, excess propane, and they burn it off over there.
There have been times, you said, when the propane fumes were so bad you had to leave your office?
Well, I send the girls home early because the fumes is so bad that in my office, with the air conditioner and everything running like that I send them home early.
How often would this happen?
Well, once a month, twice a month, every week.
And for how long a time?
Well, I'd say for the last 5 years, or 4 years.
Hey, Bob?
I don't know the exact length of time, but we just call and nothing's done about it.
You called the Grove City Fire Department, complained about propane gas fumes, and nothing was done?
Nothing.
Abbott, you had a question?
Well, was he there? Was he in the building at the time of the explosions? And what happened then?
Let me ask, were you inside the building when the...
When the boom went off, I was inside the building. My secretary and my son and I was in there, and we heard a boom, and Tootie said, what was that? And Charlie said, well, I was a train. There's a train back there on the track, you know. Tootie said, that wasn't no train. And pretty soon somebody knocked on the window and said that it blew up next door, come on. So we ran out the door, and I ran a half a mile down the pike.
What is the condition of your property right now?
Well, from the looks of things, I just bought that dump truck up there to go get a load of gravel, and it's burnt clear to the ground. My building's burnt clear to the ground. All my records is in there.
What about your employees? Do you know if they're all okay?
No, my employees are all okay.
Have you heard of anyone that's been injured?
No, not really. I was down the road, half a mile down the road, you know. I don't.
All right, and you're waiting now to talk to whoever's in charge of this scene,
Yes,
see what they can tell you or what you can tell them.
Yes. I don't know what. I know that dump truck's all burned up. And the building's burned up and all my records, that's all I know. It just makes me sick. And I understand accidents happen, but I don't think this should have ever happened, really.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. And certainly our thoughts go out to that gentleman and his business today. I know that this is a very, very difficult time for them. Bob, we're going to send it upstairs to Rob Case. And Rob, we see more black smoke now. That's not a good sign.
Kevin, this is a gas station a car on fire at a gas station. Can you see it? This is only about, the fire department's all down to the south end, and it's a gas station on fire that's no more than about a mile and a half north of them. Can you see it? It just started. We just saw the flames start to come out. There's no fire department here yet. Can you see
I take it everyone is clear. Everyone is out of the area there.
Well, no, everybody's in this area. This is way on the other side of town. I don't know how this fire started.
I see people, I can see people there.
Traffic, there's a fire chief that's down there, looks like his car, but there's nothing to fight this fire. And it's right at a gas station. We saw a rear of a car that started on fire, and now it looks like in the rear behind that, the pump's on fire. But we're going to circle this for just a moment, but this is this is on Broadway, just on the north side. You're going to have to tell me what this intersection is, but it's the first intersection north that runs into Beulah Park. I'm not sure what it is, but we just
How close are you to where the other fire was, would you say?
We are about a mile north to go straight up Broadway on the north side of town, and now this is a bonded service station that's on fire that just caught fire, and you can see all the black smoke down there. That is fire that has absolutely no water on it. There's nobody here to fight this fire because everybody's down the street on that one.
This is amazing that I see people standing not more than 50 feet away. That this could go up and be a very serious situation.
There's nothing more volatile than gasoline, especially the fumes. And what you're seeing right there is here comes an ambulance into the area, but there are absolutely no firemen here yet. And again, this is if you guys can tell me back there, whatever the intersection is that Beulah Park's on, right at Broadway. That's the street. That's the intersection that we're talking about. They're now starting. The police just arrived. They're starting to block it off. But can you zoom in on that car that's on fire there, Steve?
Yeah, we can see it very well. The car and the flames behind it. I imagine a pump is involved.
Yeah, the gas tank is on fire, Cabot. Now the pump right behind it looks like it's on fire. Can you see in there?
Yes.
We're trying to stay back, but again, we have a special lens. We can zoom in on it. Here comes the fire truck just coming in from the north. You can see it right there, just coming into the area. This whole gas station's going to go.
This is terrible. These are frightening pictures. And again, you say this is within about a half a mile of the other one?
Pan up real quick and show them where the other flames are, Steve. If you just go straight up Broadway, there it is right there. Now just come that straight north only about a mile.
That's a long way.
Yeah, it is. It's a mile and a half. It's all the way through town to get on the north side. But this is getting away from them, and this is very dangerous. You got a gas station that's full of gasoline, which is just as volatile as propane gas, or more so. And they got to start getting people back. There's a used car lot there on the corner. But again, this is a heavy residential area. This is even worse as far as homes in the area and people in the area than the propane, because the houses are only 100 yards east of where this is.
Now, in a situation like this, I mean, what is the potential for flame underground? I mean, that is a very real concern, is there not?
Well, the big problem you have with this is fumes. If fumes were to fill, like, say, the gas fumes were to fill into the building itself, like, say, the little store that's there, and fill that building with it, then you've got a bomb situation. So, again, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this happen before. You got fires just burning out of control at both ends of town.
Now, this is near Southwest Boulevard and Broadway. I was just handed this. This is just north of Beulah Park. Southwest Boulevard and Broadway now is an area where another very, very dangerous and volatile situation has occurred. It looks like they got the truck up and running. Are they pumping at this point?
Right. The truck's there. They're pumping right out of the truck, probably for speed more than anything. We'll get around here to the north side and let you take a look at it. They are throwing water on it. They've got water on the front of the car itself. The rear of the car, that's where the gas tank is. That's what caught on fire. That's where you saw the big flames burning out. Then in behind it, I don't know, it looked almost like you may have dropped the hose or something, because there was a huge flame in behind right next to the pump when we first arrived here. But now the whole north side of the bonded station is charred. You can see the black smoke all the way around it.
This is really unfathomable in terms of the concept that it could be happening at the same time, but it looks like it is totally unrelated. I mean, it's too early to make a connection here, but doesn't it seem like it's a little far away to be a part of the other one?
It's absolutely, it's not connected in any way from a flaming standpoint, but who knows? I mean, this could very well have just been somebody trying to refuel their car and it sparked, dropped the hose and the spark caught it or something, but their gas tank caught on fire, and then there was some kind of fuel, either the pump itself or fuel coming out of the hose if they dropped it, that was all over the back end of the car and all over the gas station. So it caused that huge flame that you saw just when you came to us live. We saw it just as it started to happen.
Oh, it was frightening. Again, I was amazed to see the pictures. I wondered if the area had been clear. Then right then we saw 3 or 4 people standing within 20 or 30 feet of this thing. Now it looks like they've got the flame pretty much knocked out.
Right. We're coming around it again here on the other side. That's probably a good thing that they weren't far. I mean, they got a fire truck here relatively quickly and started putting water on it. But again, it's a busy day out here.
Oh boy! Again, I don't see a scurry of activity like there might be any injuries here. Is that the kind of read you're getting out there too?
Well, the ambulance is. We're watching an ambulance that's parked right next to the fire truck there, and the ambulance hasn't taken anyone out yet. The fire chief's there. They're just got it surrounded. There's water now everywhere, all the way around the car itself. I'm going to try and zoom in on the car a little bit and just see. It looks like the car is totally gutted.
Let's hope the hood up. Yeah, let's hope that the activity does not mean it's something very serious. Let's hope that does not mean anything that there's any loss of life involved with this particular situation.
The ambulance is pulling up right now. There's another one that's just coming in from the south side, naturally where all the fire equipment was.
Well, that's frightening. That car went up in a hurry. We're going to take some shots real quick now. I understand that from our mast cam. Again, we're back at the other location. This is more than a mile away from that fire at that bonded gas station. And we are back at the Ferrell Propane Gas Company, again, about a half a mile south of downtown Grove City. and you can see the flame continues to burn. They continue to concentrate streams of water right on a couple of hot spots right in the middle of the grounds, and they continue to douse two extremely large tanks. Two tanks they were very concerned about. If either of those tanks had gone up, the other one would have, and it probably would have created a very, very, very deadly situation within a quarter to a half mile, perhaps, of the plant there. So they are working hard there, but you can see the flames are still not out there. The smoke there looks for the most part to be white, which again is usually a good sign. It means that the water is dousing the flame, but we have continued to have situations in Grove City. We're going to show you again these pictures because these pictures are incredible. Incredible also in the fact of just how close this truck was to these large, large tanks. You can see them just in the corner of your picture there, and had those gone up, it could have been a very, very tragic and devastating situation down there just south of Grove City today. The tanks on board that truck, one at a time, we've heard reports as many as 50 explosions were heard from some of these tanks. You can see there are hundreds of these tanks laying around there, so it is not the place to be once fire ignites there. And unfortunately, there has been some serious damage. We understand several businesses in the area have been all but totaled. A restaurant, a trucking company, we understand pretty much leveled to the ground. Their records are lost. Bob Singleton was on the ground speaking to the owner of one of the companies that said they had smelled gas in the air before in days previous. But right now we're going to go to Carol Hauser. She is at OSU, where we understand 3 people have been brought. Is that the update you have?
Yeah, that is. We just had another one come in about 15 minutes ago by MedFlight. 2 now have arrived by MedFlight, and the 3rd was brought in by ground. 2 of them are male, 22 years old. Those are the 2 most seriously injured people. We understand that they do have burns. One of them is not alert. The other one is alert. And then the 3rd person is a man in his 30s. He lives at a Columbus address, somewhere close to the south side of town. None of these people have their families here yet, so we cannot tell you who they are. We can tell you that the man in his 30s is alert. He has a leg injury, and he is apparently doing the best of all 3. The most seriously burned people in this fire are being brought up here. So far, it looks like we really only have 3 people that are seriously hurt in any way, shape, or form. And on the scene, perhaps some heat exhaustion, things like that. But they are not currently, at this moment, expecting anybody else. So as far as we know, there are just 3 people injured. 2 of them, 2 young males, and both are 22 years old, are most severely injured. And then the 3rd, a man in his 30s, is doing quite a bit better than the other 2.
Okay, thank you very much, Carol. It's good to know that it seems like that's the end of the injuries there, but we now have a report of an injury at this second fire, more than a mile away from the first. Rob, what can you tell us?
Well, Cabot, that's the gasoline, the bonded station that we saw caught fire with the back end of that car. MedFlight is coming in right in behind us. They're going to land down here. There is an injury down there. We believe it's a burn to someone that was right near where we saw those flames earlier. They're called us as they were coming in. You're going to see them land probably in our picture here in just a moment. They're going to land down there and pick up someone, and we believe they're going to take them to OSU Hospital to the burn unit. So if Carol Hauser is there, she could possibly give us an update on exactly what happened. But my guess is it's probably the driver of that car or someone that was very close to that when those flames first started coming out of that area down there. And we're just holding right now as MedFlight's making an approach in here to land. We're kind of holding back and letting them into the area. But we do have at least 1 injury on this, and we'll update you. You can see they're coming right in over the top, Steve, right in over the top of the building. And they're going to land, pick up someone, I believe, down in that field down there. And then they'll take them, we believe they're taking them down to OSU Hospital. We'll give you an update on exactly what the condition is once they get them on board and get them out of here. So we're just going to stay on this and continue. It looks like they've got the flames knocked down. They shut all the gasoline down in this area and controlled the bonded station fire for right now. They've got the street blocked off. You know, we gave a 1.5 mile perimeter. They've moved it to a mile now.
Now, Rob, that bonded's at Southwest Boulevard and Broadway, just north of Beulah Park. Now, we have some home video, Rob, that was just sent to us. Again, this is home video of the original fire that we were sent on at about 2:30 today. You can see this is of the Farrell Propane company. You can see multiple flames at that point. This must have been shot within just moments of those first explosions, and really before the fire departments got there. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know who shot this video, but they were perilously close to perhaps being injured, but we appreciate getting this video. Again, these are pictures of the area, and you can see they were on the move there with each explosion, probably backing off a little bit. Now we're looking at live shots. Here an hour, almost 2 hours later, about 2 hours after the first explosions, you can see quite a difference from this home video that is okay, this is a video we understand shot by our own photographer, Eric Grubb, and he, again, using a zoom camera, can get in there pretty close, but again, it was a terribly volatile situation there, one that could have been potentially devastating and deadly had the fire departments not responded quickly. Now, it has not been without its injuries. We know of at least 3 that have been injured. We know of a couple probably seriously injured with some burns that have been taken to improving, it looks like there, although, you know, with this kind of situation, we don't dare say it's wrapped up yet, because it is far from that, probably. These pictures here, I believe... Okay, we're going to go back again, I now understand, to earlier video. These are pictures of the trucks exploding. Up to 50 explosions reported by people that heard the sounds. Neighbors and residents running out of their houses, running back when they would hear the explosion, stop to see if anyone else was around. Then more explosions. You can imagine it must have been a terrifying time for those folks, because they did not know how serious these explosions could become. We do know that within 1.5 miles of these pictures, that area has been evacuated, emergency shelters set up at Grove City High School. That is where they are, and we know there are scores of people there now. They don't know, as we don't know, how long they will be there. If they will be there, in fact, overnight, it's hard to say, but they're continuing to douse the flames there, and they are set up at the Grove City to handle any situation. All the baseball games, softball games at the nearby park, the Little League games, they have been canceled. If you have any questions, perhaps you should call the Grove City Parks and Recreation Department, but everything in that area, there are a couple of pools there that have been evacuated as well, and so that's the situation. Now you're looking up, and we're trying to adjust our equipment here to some home video. You can see multiple flames there. This was shot earlier. The quality not the greatest, because we have to try to shift formats from a small camera. But it is a bad situation, as you can see there. Now now we're taking you over, I believe, to Chopper 4, to this second fire. What a horrendous day in Grove City. This is about 1 mile away at a bonded gas station where a car ignited, the pumps ignited. Fortunately, there were pumper trucks at the other fire able to be called off and come douse it. But Rob, it looks like MedFlight is there again, a second, third, and fourth trip now back to Grove City today. This one totally unrelated, but again, an injury here as well. Rob, is that right?
That's right. It's another fire at the bonded gas station that we showed you just as it was happening. They landed the helicopter about 3 blocks east of where that bonded station is, and they brought an ambulance over. They have at least one victim that we know of on a gurney, and they're going to be bringing to load him into MedFlight's helicopter. The blades are turning right there. You're watching live television news as it happens. The fire, now the rescue. They put the fire out. Now they're going to, or contained it at least to just that area. Now they're going to transport this person, we believe, to Ohio State University Hospital, the burn unit there. We're waiting for, you're actually just seeing it as they called off to us when they came in. They're actually going to bring him out of that ambulance, load him in the helicopter, and try and get him to the hospital as quickly as possible. That's the ambulance right there.
Right, there we go. Did you see how close perhaps this victim was at the time that they first got to this victim?
Well,
he or she?
Yeah, we don't really know. What I could tell you is what it appeared to be when we were circling it coming in. We saw the flames start in the back of the car, like in the gas tank area where they may have been fueling. It appeared as if someone may have been fueling that car and ignited that area, because then the gasoline went all over that area, and then flames came out the back. It looked initially like it may have been a pump, but it was certainly fuel around the pump that was burning as well. So my best guess for you at this point, it was either the person that was fueling that vehicle, whether it was an employee of the station or the person that was driving, but somebody in that area, because the flames were very high all the way to the roof of the building itself, so probably 50, 60 feet in the air. And we didn't see anyone running when we first got there. We saw a lot of people standing around, probably in shock.
Yeah, that was my feeling too, to see those people that close to that facility with the flames going up around that gas station. I was surprised by that. and now we are in fact hearing reports of an injury situation. Perhaps they were just trying to stay close to this person that was injured. We don't know if it's a male or a female here. It looked like a late model car that had been caught on fire there. It didn't look like an older car, but well, we know nothing else at this point. They still are they just now working on this patient, on this victim?
Right, they brought the victim out. They've also they're bringing debris out from underneath the roof of that bonded station. Things that caught on fire. It looked like a late model Honda Accord, like a station wagon, gold color that was actually burning down there. And then the whole back end of it caught on fire. They've got the we'll show you in a distance real quickly, Steve. You can pan up. Just show them how far away we are from the station where the fire department is. It's just away from the shopping center, then all the way up to the corner of the street. It's right there. That's where they actually had to land the helicopter, just for safety's sake again. Now they have the fire pretty much out. There's fuel and there's an awful lot of people and equipment around that area right now. So they brought the helicopter in down here, and they're on standby right now. They load the victim in the ambulance. As soon as they get him stable and on the gurney, they're going to load him in the helicopter and then on to the hospital.
Right, this is just north of Beulah Park where we are right now at Southwest Boulevard and Broadway. So again, Broadway coming into play, one south of town, one it looks like more north of town, or on the north side of Grove City, and now it looks like, in fact, they are about to transport this victim.
Right. What they'll do is they'll take him in the back end, they load him in the rear of this helicopter that has clamshell doors. They'll open those clamshells, slide him in. Don't have to worry about the tail rotor, it's well above their heads. They'll load that victim in the back of the helicopter there, slide him in. There's a nurse, paramedic on board. The pilot sits in the front right. He's going to give us a call before he comes off.
Okay.
We relayed a call for him back to his base to let him know he was on the ground, and now he's going to be, as soon as they get those clamshell doors shut, he'll be lifting off heading northbound.
Looks like it. We want to go to Carol Hauser. We understand Carol Hauser real quick. First, let's show you again where the first explosion was. That's south of Grove City, about a half mile to a mile, just out of Grove City at the Propane gas company. Multiple explosions there. 3 injuries at least that we know of confirmed. And in fact, Carol Hauser at OSU Medical Center. Carol, can you tell us anything new at this point?
Well, we do know that we are indeed getting that last patient, the 4th patient. They think it is a male, but we do not have a confirmation if it's a man or a woman. What I can tell you, though, is they're going to land right up on that helicopter pad up there. And what they do is they take the patient inside an elevator, which then goes down below the level of this parking lot. And there's an underground passageway where they rush them straight through over here to the emergency department. So just several hundred yards, they rush them down this way, and then they've got the best burn doctors in basically the state almost here. This is a burn trauma center.
Right.
So luckily they got a great care here at OSU, and certainly they can take care of any level of burn that they might be bringing in.
And it looks like they're busy today. Boy, Carol, we understand now that they're just about to, you're looking now at pictures, again, taken earlier from the first fire, and we have 2 fires to tell you about today, folks, both in Grove City. This first one again at the Propane gas company, and you can see just multiple flames there shooting into the air. We had reports of flames over 100, maybe as much as 200 feet in the air when this thing first went up just after 2:30 this afternoon. Smoke could be seen from miles and miles and miles away, black, thick smoke, and that smoke has continued now, but we understand now for the most part the flames there have been doused, and for the most part, the large tanks that they were very, very concerned about seem to be out of danger. But again, we don't want to say anything at this point. We're going to go to Rob Case now, he's in the air now, and that is med flight now in the air, right?
That's affirmative. We just talking to them and you at the same time. They just lifted off from that side, Kevin. We're about 3.5 minutes to Carol Hauser, 3.5 minutes to the hospital. We're going to stay with them, and they'll unload them on that rooftop she was talking about. We'll follow them all the way there and give you an update once they get there on the burns on this injured person that was at the bonded station in Grove City. The fire that happened just about 1.5 miles to 2 miles north, right on the same roadway, just north of Grove City, where the other fire was just on the south side. So we're going to follow them to the hospital. We should be there in less than 2-3 minutes now, and we'll have the offload for you and give you another update once they get there with Carol.
And there's no idea, listening to radio traffic, what you might be hearing regarding this victim, male, female, anything at all?
If you hold on a second, I can try and find out.
Well, we certainly don't want to be intrusive. We know they've got their job to do, so it's nice that you're staying well clear of how they're working there. But again, we're going to go back now again to these pictures because these are vivid pictures. These are pictures dramatic as they look, and yet it could have been a whole lot worse. It could have been deadly. It could have been devastating had the larger tanks that were within 30 feet, maybe even 20 feet of some of these flames had actually caught. And we are told that one of them, there was actually a scorch mark underneath one of those large tanks holding as much as 30,000 pounds of propane gas. There were scorch marks underneath, and that those were some of the tanks first addressed, obviously, by the firefighters who bravely got those flames out, or potential to flame. Now this is from above here, and you can see just how close to those large tanks. Of course, we're getting reports from a quarter to a half a mile. We don't know what would have been devastated, but we know that there probably would have been loss of life or a strong potential had either one of those large tanks gone up. So again, that situation appears at this point to be a little more under control. These tanks, it's amazing to watch this. We saw this live. We saw those flames go. 40 to 50 different explosions heard by residents in the area who fled the area, and now an entire mile and a half has been cordoned off around this area of the Federal Propane Gas Company while they clear the area that they've taken them to Grove City. We're looking now at pictures from Mast Cam. These are live pictures. You were looking a moment ago at tape from about an hour and a half ago. These are live shots, and you can see the news appears to be good there in terms of potential for danger, again, only by sight. We don't know the workings of these propane gas tanks, but they have them pretty well doused, it looks like now. It looks like most of the fire is out. They are probably continuing to shower those large tanks because it looks like just a flicker of flame off to the left there in your screen you can still see, but they're dousing the entire area. Going to keep dousing it, I would imagine, throughout most of the evening to make sure that this does not flare up again. We do know, though, that a lot of devastation by the flames in terms of structure, buildings in the area, buildings 50, 60, 100 feet away. One building apparently caught on fire by an exploding canister that flew onto the roof. And then ignited that business, which contained a restaurant, we understand a trucking company, and Bob Singleton had spoken with the owner of the company, and that gentleman had said that they had smelled this propane gas before. That is what this gentleman is saying. We know no more than that at this point, but apparently it all went up today. Now we're going to take you back to the OSU Medical Center, and this is MedFlight coming in not from that first fire, but ladies and gentlemen, from the second fire. From the fire at the bonded gas station about a mile and a half north of that first fire, where a car and a gas tank there went up in flame. There was in fact an injury. We don't know how serious that injury is, but we are watching with you. Our Carol Hauser is there on site, where we know 3 other victims were brought from that first fire, and now they're going to unload this 4th victim, actually a separate victim from a separate fire situation. Rob, you're above there. Were you able to hear anything at all on the traffic?
Was that me, Kevin?
Were you able to pick up anything there on radio traffic?
Well, what you can see, no, they weren't able to answer as they were shooting the approach into here.
Sure.
Go back a little. You can see both helicopters are on the pad. I mean, this is the #1 burn unit. When I had the accident in a helicopter a few years ago, this is where they brought us. It is the best place you could go if you're burned. The burn unit at OSU Medical Center is the best around, and that's why they brought them all here. We're not sure exactly what we'll do is we'll just follow this gurney as it makes its way in. We are talking to the pilot down there as he gets ready to shut down. They'll open up, and you'll see it just off the front end of the helicopter, and they'll take them through the gate. Carol Hauser may do a little better at finding out exactly what the situation is on this. It's only one victim that we know of at this point coming in, and the only one at that scene that they called for a transport on. So at this point, we believe it may just have been the driver of that car or someone very near that car when it actually exploded in flames down there at the bonded station. But here
again, that was a self-serve station, so apparently it was probably during the time of the gas being pumped.
Yeah, it appeared to be.
Yeah.
So here comes the victim right now. Now what they'll do is they'll take him down the elevator and then into the hospital itself. But again, we don't have a report to tell you exactly. Carol's there, right there, so she should be able to tell us something here shortly.
Yeah, it's impossible to know. We can only hope and pray that that person was not seriously hurt there at the bonded gas station. Thank you very much. We're going to send it back now. These are live pictures again, back at the Federal Propane Gas Company, just south of Grove City, right along Broadway, south of Grove City. That whole area has been blocked off. Please avoid that. If you know someone who may be traveling in that area, around Grove City, keep clear of that area. We're going to send you now over to Dina Centofanti. Looks like they've just finished spraying in one area there, but Dina, what is the situation there? More people showing up?
Again, I'm at Grove City High School. This has been designated the evacuation headquarters for all of those folks being evacuated. Again, it's about a mile surrounding the fire scene that they are telling folks they have to leave their homes. They're bringing their pets here, their family dogs. Everyone is clearing out and headed this way. We've got about 100 people here so far. I do want to tell you that a lot of folks are confused about whether they can go home because they don't know the exact areas that are being evacuated. It's Kingston Road to the north, the railroad tracks to the west, Ventura Road to the south, and Hahn on the east. So if you live within that square area, it's about a 1 mile area surrounding the fire, then you cannot return to your home and you need to come here to the Grove City High School.
Let's go over that again real fast if we could. You say to the north it's Kingston?
Kingston is the northern boundary.
Okay.
The railroad tracks is the western boundary.
Okay.
And then we've got Ventura on the south and Hahn Road on the east.
That is the area.
It is within that area that is evacuated. You cannot return to your home if you live within that area.
And certainly as soon as we know, we will report it to all the folks watching when those folks can return. But we have no idea at this point.
Right. It's very, again, it's very unpredictable, and I know the crews are working as quickly as they can, but they'd rather be, of course, safe than sorry in this situation and keep the people here at the high school where they can be safe and wait until they know that it's safe to return.
Okay, thank you very much, Dina, and we will check right back in with you just as soon as we can. Again, a terrible fire just south of Grove City at the Farrell Propane Gas Company. We know of at least 3 injuries, and a second fire at a bonded gas station about 1.5 miles north of that area, still in the Grove City area. A gas pump on fire there, and we know of at least 1 injury there and a transport again by MedFlight. Right now, though, we're going to go back to Bob Singleton. He is on the ground near the propane company. And Bob, anything new, anything that you're able to tell from there?
Yes, Cabot, they've just taken down the police line and moved it about 50 yards further north to exactly Casa Boulevard and Broadway. I can also tell you that they have permitted some of the property owners to go into the fire area to take a look at what they have lost. Also, a township trustee has gone in with them.
That would appear to be obviously a sign that they feel things are fairly secure there.
Well, at least secure enough to let somebody who has a definite personal stake in this disaster go in and take a look at exactly what they've lost. They're certainly not letting the general public wander around. I can also tell you that I've been talking to the township trustee, and there was a gas leak last summer, apparently, at this same Farrell Propane Company, the company that's had this fire here this afternoon. And the township trustee also told me that there would be times when you could smell propane gas as you drove down Broadway, going past the company. Mm-hmm. I don't know about the volatility of propane gas, but I suspect that that's not a good sign if you can smell it while you're driving down the road going past the company. May well have something to do with what's happened here this afternoon.
And you know, Bob, we report all the time on gas leaks and evacuations, and often nothing seriously happens. But boy, today have we been reminded of the power of propane gas and how, you know, those evacuations are extremely important every time they're ordered.
Yes, and they are. You're right. They're not letting residents into that area with the boundaries that Dina mentioned. This was at least one huge 30,000-pound propane tank, about 40 feet long, and it was sort of the mother tank. People would come with their smaller ones to get refills, everything from backyard barbecue to farmers' propane tank out behind the barn. They'd bring them around, pump them up, and take off. But that's the one they were worried might explode here this afternoon. It apparently has not, and that too is good news.
Yeah, it is. And again, I'm sure there's a lot of confusion there, and you probably have not heard any word from anyone on just how this began.
nothing on that.
All right, well, we'll try to stay on top of that because obviously a lot of investigators on the scene want to answer that question. They're going to send it over.
They just told us,
Yes, Bob?
by the way, that we can get a little closer, so we're going to do that. As soon as we get done here, we're going to see how much closer to it we can get.
Very good. Again, another good sign. If they're going to let you up there close, Bob, that's a pretty good sign that things seem to be fairly secure.
Yeah.
All right, Bob, thanks a lot. Let's send it back now to Carol Hauser at OSU Medical Center. What can you tell us, Carol?
Well, we just saw the gentleman that they brought off of MedFlight. He was a man probably in his 50s or 60s. They were giving him some respiratory help, and he certainly looked as if he had a pretty severe injury on his left hand. We couldn't see, obviously, anything more than that. We don't know what his condition is currently. We hopefully will find out soon because right now they're trying to get an emergency department physician to come on out and give us a better idea of how those folks are doing. Obviously, the first hours after a burn are the most important to find out if people are going to pull through. So we certainly are very interested to know if everybody's doing all right back there.
Well, that's unfortunate, too. We saw the flames. We saw some people standing around. We could not tell initially if there were any victims, but now apparently there was. In fact, it looks like an older gentleman, as you say, there by the pictures we just saw, and we will stay on top of that one as well. Thank you, Carol.
Sure.
Again, that's from the second fire, a fire that happened over an hour after this first fire, and these are pictures from that first one. These are pictures when we arrived on the scene about 2:40 this afternoon, and it was going all out. The fire had ignited, it caught a number of those tanks, and once one catches, then it's just a domino effect, and you can see it there. Blast after blast, flames shooting into the air, different size containers going up simultaneously, really frightening a lot of folks, a lot of people on the move in that area because that company is very, very close to a lot of homes. It is close to parks, it is close to pools, and so some people were on the move, and that's a good thing. Again, we have reports of 3 injuries, no fatalities at this point. We know that there were a couple of fairly serious injuries involved with this fire, but again, the big thing is you see the fire, how close it is to those large bluish tanks off just out of the corner of the picture there, and right there, for instance, just within feet perhaps of igniting those large tanks, and that would have been a terrible thing. 30,000 pounds of propane, it would have been devastating had those tanks gone up. Carol Hauser is at OSU Medical Center on a day when that burn unit, one of the best in the world, is getting a lot of business, unfortunately. Carol, what's the latest?
Absolutely. Well, we can sort of recap and tell you what we have here. We have a total of 4 men injured. We have 2 men that are 22 years of age. They are the most seriously burned, as we know right now. One of them was not alert, meaning that he probably was in pretty serious condition, and they were working on him pretty intensely. The other 22-year-old apparently was at least awake, which is a good sign after a fire like that and severe burns. And the third person that was brought in somewhere about, I'd say 45 minutes ago, he was also alert and doing pretty well, actually. He had a leg wound and some burns as well. This last gentleman that was brought in, though, he is an older man, and we have no idea how he is doing right now. We're working on getting an emergency physician out here to at least tell us whether or not he is alert, whether or not he's going to be awake, and whether or not they're going to be able to tell the extent of his burns. We're hoping to let you know how extensively burned each of these people is, and as soon as we get that doctor out here, we will certainly let you know that.
Okay, and we certainly understand they're very, very busy right now. Thank you, Carol. We appreciate that. We're going to show you now more ground shots from this fire. These are shots right along probably Broadway itself. Again, Broadway was the area where fire departments came together. It was kind of central command, if you will. Fire departments from all over, including Columbus, were sent down there for obvious reasons because that was a fire that had a potentially devastating effect. It could have. And we're going to now send you over to the high school. Dina Senafani is there again. That is the area where the folks are being taken tonight, and they're being kept there, and they really don't know how long they're going to be there.
Absolutely not, Cabot. And there are a lot of unanswered questions here. Now, this is how the system is working. People are coming here, and they are asked to sign in on the yellow legal pad that you see there. And this is a way that parents can come here, and family members who are hearing about all of this on the radio or seeing it on TV, they can come here and see if their family members are here. We have a lot of concerned parents. As you know, a pool rather close to the explosion was evacuated. There were a lot of kids there, and they were all brought here, and a lot of parents are wandering over here trying to find their children. So hopefully that they will look on the list, find their names, and that will calm some fears. Again, we can give you the area that is being evacuated because some people are confused about whether they can go home. It is Kingston Road to the north, Ventura, these are the boundaries, so visualize a circle surrounding the site. Kingston to the north, Ventura to the south, the railroad tracks on the west, and then Hahn Road on the east. If you live within that area, you should not go home yet. Cabot?
Yeah, Grove City High School, of course, that is a wonderful community. They're a very close community there. It's a great high school, so it's a great facility for this kind of event.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of room here. As you can see, they've got the gymnasium. The kids are actually in the gymnasium. The kids at the pool, they were a little shaken up by what had happened, but now they're in the gym. They're playing basketball, so they're doing just fine. The adults are sort of just gathering here. They're watching some TVs here to see what's going on. The school, 2,000 students attend the school, so there's plenty of room for everybody. The Red Cross has just arrived. You can see they are just arrived here, right. So they're going to take charge of this situation, and there's plenty of food, and there are blankets and pillows if they need it tonight for these folks, if they have to spend the night here, depending on what happens at the explosion site.
All right, and now would be a time to mention that, of course, Grove City Kids Association, all the softball games at that nearby park, all of those activities canceled this evening for obvious reasons. If you have any questions, I guess call the Parks and Recreation Department there in Grove City. Thank you very much, Dina. We'll check back if we need to.
Sure.
And we're sending you back out now. These are live pictures from our mast cam down at the site, the Farrell Propane Gas Company, south of Grove City, about a half to a mile just south on Broadway, Old 3C Highway, to those of you who might know it by that name, going south out of Grove City. Again, it looks like they've got the situation, at least it appears, under control. But this propane gas, as we have seen today, is a very, very nasty situation. And so I'm sure they're going to keep this the situation well manned. They're going to keep it a lot of water on the situation. For the men and women who are there today, they've had to battle intense heat on top of these explosions and the flames from those propane tanks, as you see right here. Again, want to tell you, this is earlier. This is not live. These are earlier photos that we're showing you of video of these tanks just going up one right after the other, extremely close to some very large tanks that had those gone up, we could have a real tragedy on our hands. So they got there quickly. The firefighters doused there was a flame we heard under one of those large tanks. There were actual burn marks on one of those tanks. But again, they got those flames out quickly, and the water, and they've been covering those tanks with water ever since. It's the same principle as when they fight house fires. They try to cover other structures with water that are nearby to try to protect them, give them some resistance to flames. And so the same technique obviously being used here from these, again, earlier pictures here, because these are just amazing shots. 3 people injured in that fire, 3 people injured. 2 of them we understand fairly seriously, 1 perhaps just a leg injury. But then an hour later, in a tragic coincidence, another fire in Grove City at a gas station about 1.5 miles away. It seems impossible to be related at this point, but a 1.5 miles away, another fire, another injury, another victim. We got the transport by MedFlight. Carol Hauser is there at the scene. And Carol, do you have anything more you can tell us about this situation?
Well, I can tell you that they are searching for some families right now. We would hope that anybody obviously who's privy to this information and has someone that they know and love working down in that area is contacting the hospitals, because we knew that about 15 minutes ago at least we had no families that had arrived here yet. So obviously we have some people that need to find out if their loved ones have been injured. We know the ages at least, 2 22-year-old males. We have a 30-year-old male. Looks like we have an emergency room doctor headed this way too. Hopefully he'll be able to give us a better idea of what's going on. But we also have an older man in his 50s or 60s from that last fire. We know that 1 person at least is pretty seriously injured, mostly from burns. The other 3, we have a less good idea. 2 of them don't sound like they're in critical condition right now, though I certainly cannot say for sure whether or not their conditions are critical or anything else. I believe
the doctor is on the way now, perhaps.
Absolutely. It's Dr. Hoekstra, I believe. Dr. Hoekstra, we're trying to find out if you have a good idea of at least the conditions, the basic conditions of these 4 now patients that have been brought in.
Basic conditions. I mean, in terms of critical, serious things like that, they're probably serious to critical. In terms of the size of the burns, anywhere between like 30 to 20%.
We understand that the most seriously burned person was one of the younger men, the 22-year-old man. Is that the case, and what's his status?
Actually, we have 3 of them that are about the same in terms of size of burns. I wouldn't really put one of them as more than the other one. But all those 3 are in serious to critical condition in terms of the amount of burns. I don't think any of them are going to be life-threatening in terms of the burns, though. I think they'll all do fine. They'll be in the hospital for a while, though.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, Cabot, go ahead with your question.
What about this most recent transport from this second fire that just came in on Med Flight? Any word?
He's asking about the oldest gentleman that was just brought in, whether or not you have an idea about him.
He just got here. He's only been here for about 5-10 minutes or so. He has, I'm going to guess, about 35-40% burns, pretty much waist up. He'll probably be the most critical of the bunch, actually.
And I understand, too, that timing for burn patients is very important, the initial treatment, about how long before you're going to know whether or not they're going to pull through or not.
Well, that's the problem. You look at the percent of burn, you look at the age, you look at how much they have in terms of medical problems, and you kind of can guesstimate how well they're going to do. The younger people obviously do better. The size of the burns will tell you. But a lot of times you have to sit back and wait because there's a number of different problems that develop after a burn, problems with the lungs, problems with infections, things like that you really can't predict initially. So a lot of times, you're right, it's a waiting game to see how well they do.
And we also understand that it had been tough to reach some families. Have you had any luck on that?
I have not been doing that personally. We have a large number of staff that are doing all that stuff.
Okay. All right, that's Dr. James Hoekstra. I do appreciate you coming out and chatting with us. We'll probably talk with you in a few and see if things have changed any. Okay. Thank you very much. So, Cabot, we have 3 people that are pretty seriously injured right now. One, the last person you saw, is even more seriously injured than the other 3.
So from the second fire, the bonded gas station, apparently it sounds like he may be the most seriously injured of the 4.
It sounds that way, partially because of his age.
Yeah, right, okay. Well, we'll stay on top of that. Thank you very much, Carol.
Sure.
We're looking at live pictures now. We're gonna shift you over now. This is video of the gas station. These are pictures taken shortly after this fire. Again, this older gentleman, it sounded as though the doctor said 35 to 40% in terms of burn damage to his body, but we know more than that right now. But you can see how this station went up. It's gutted. It looks like a late model station wagon, small station wagon. Hard to tell if that is, in fact, a Honda. We don't know at this point, but the point is that it looks like the entire back of the vehicle, as well as the gas pump right next to it, and now the entire station totally gutted by flames. How that one got started, who knows? It doesn't seem like it could be related to the other fire because, again, it's a mile to a mile and a half north of that area where the first fire is, so it would be extremely doubtful that something could have carried that far. But again, right about the same time, about an hour after the first fire, this fire, and you can see the horrendous ability of the fire to destroy that vehicle there. And here's the gentleman involved, an older gentleman, 50s, late 50s to 60s, we understand, and we know very little at this point, and we certainly don't want to speculate. We know the doctor said he just arrived and he has some serious burns on parts of his body. And so that's all that we know at this point involving that particular fire. So a very unfortunate and sad and tragic day in a lot of ways there in Grove City. It could have been, however, perhaps much worse had some of those large tanks gone up. And there were some large tanks precariously close to the flames of a truck that went up many times with explosions and fire. You can see these are live pictures now. We are showing you live shots. And these pictures show that it appears that the flames are pretty much under control, although you continue to see a flicker here and there. Bob Singleton told us that he is now being allowed closer. A lot of the people that had property in that area damaged have been allowed to get closer to the situation, closer to the area there. That is perhaps a sign that things are relatively secure. But again, you're looking at 3 streams there that are going nonstop. So they'll be dousing that area through most of the evening, I am sure. Okay, we're going to show you these pictures earlier taken on the ground. Now, this is not as close as it looks, folks. This is with the camera that photographer Eric Grubb can get very close with. but he is within probably 100 yards of this explosion at this point. And these are pictures taken as before really they got a lot of water on the situation, and this is at the point where it could have been devastating had it caught some of those other tanks. This is just after 2:30 this afternoon. It's been almost 2.5 hours now since these pictures were taken. You can see he's backed off a little bit there with his zoom lens, but again, precarious situation just south of Grove City at the Faro Propane Gas Company. We're going to stay with this. We're going to keep these pictures and reports coming as the story continues to develop, because it does look like things are under control, but we're just about reaching our 5 o'clock news, so we are going to continue to go live with this. These are shots from earlier that we shot as soon as we arrived. We're going to stay with us right on into our 5 o'clock news program. We're going to go to Bob Singleton now. Bob is on the ground. Bob, are you getting pretty close to the situation now?
Yeah, we've just been talking to, I believe, Jackson Township Fire Chief Danny Ashcroft. In fact, we're going to let you listen to him for a minute right now, Cabot. He said there were 3 people loading propane tanks for forklifts on the loading dock of Faro Propane. When the explosion occurred, they still don't have a cause. They think it may have been static electricity. We're going to let you listen to some of what the chief's saying right now.
So they just underwent a refit and passed all their inspections. Both of the companies are very safety conscious. They work with us regularly. We're in here regularly. We just, in fact, a month ago, we finished redoing our pre-plan. So our people have been in here. One of the problems that the neighbors, probably the big problem that the neighbors have, is they smell the mercaptan. You're too close, okay? And that is a result of the city growing around them. Okay.
Chief, is there any indication of wrongdoing on anybody's part at this point?
No, I don't think so at this point. Like I said, we have to do an extensive investigation. We'll start on that very shortly as soon as we can get up into that area. I'm sure we'll be in here long into tonight. But as far as I can tell you right now, I feel very comfortable that both of these facilities have met all of the safety requirements that they need to. They're controlled by a lot of different agencies. In the past couple of years, both companies have cooperated very well with us as far as meeting updates. If we have problems, if we see things, they get on them, repair them right away. The nature of handling that kind of material in a crowded area when the other companies move in, it's a problem. Yes.
There you go, Cabot. They were talking about these two companies. When Faro first moved in, Chief mentioned earlier, this part of town was out in the country. Now Grove City has grown every direction, including south, and the town has sort of encompassed the gas companies, the propane companies. So now, he also said this is apparently not an uncommon complaint to have people smelling propane gas, but
actually, is it a chemical they use to give the gas some kind of a smell? Isn't that what it is?
Well, I know that's the way it works with the gas company,
right?
And I would guess frankly, I can't tell you. Propane naturally smells like anything, but
okay.
They were able to smell it, and they have complained about it. The chief seems to be saying that that's not all that unusual, that they've inspected both companies, Faro and the other, and that the companies at this point at least have done nothing wrong.
Okay, very good. We thank you, Bob. We're going to send it back to Carol Hauser now with names of these victims. Carol?
Well, we are being told the names, but we have got to hold on to them because the families have not yet given consent for us to release them. We do know that one of the gentlemen, the 30-year-old, is from the Columbus area. The other three, we don't know if they're from Columbus or Grove City just yet, but we're going to be finding that out in just a few moments. I would say within the next 10 or so minutes, we'll at least have from the family whether or not they are willing to let us say who they are. But obviously this is a very sensitive time for them, so we'll give them a chance to think about it before we release those names.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Carol. We appreciate it. We have stayed live with this because this has been a potentially devastating story. It looks like they've got the flames under control down there at the Faro propane gas tank. We do know of 4 injuries, but the 4th injury, this most recent, from a separate fire that appears to be totally unrelated, but again in Grove City at a gas station, a filling station, a bonded station. station there. So that is the situation. We're going to stay right on top of this, and in fact, we're going to roll you now right into our 5 o'clock news, and we're going to send it right over now to Mike and Gail.
Alrighty, thanks, Cabot. Good job.
All right.
Thank you, Cabot. And we will have continuing coverage of what is going on in Grove City and the people there who have been evacuated from their homes.
Live at 5 is next.